This video is perhaps a little easier than the previous one because we need to recognize that our denominators have already been factored for us. When I was copying this down, I got ahead of myself and I already put the parentheses in the numerator. So you always want to get in the habit of putting those parentheses in the numerator. So what we're going to look for is we want to look for what do they have, what do they share, and what do they need, okay? So when I'm looking right here, I see that they both already have this factor in the denominator, x minus 2. So they already share that. So what does this fraction, what does this denominator need that this one has? Well, this one here does not have an x minus 6. So notice whatever we do in the denominator, we also have to do in the numerator. Okay, so now I'm going to look over at this one. So they both have an x minus 6. They both have an x minus 2. But this one is missing the x plus 3. So I'm just going to put x plus 3. So now let's look at our denominators. X minus 6, x plus 3, x minus 2. All the factors are there, which means that they're going to share. We have a common denominator. So x minus 6, x plus 3, x minus 2. The order of multiplication does not matter as long as you keep what's inside the parentheses together as one unit. So now what we have to do is we have to multiply this side, this numerator together. So that's going to give me x squared minus 9x plus 18. And because this is a plus, I don't have to worry about changing any of my signs afterwards. So I can simply write the plus. Then I'm going to multiply this out, and that gives me x squared plus 5x plus 6. Now all I have to do here is I'm going to combine like terms. So if we notice, I have x squared and x squared. I have two of those. So I'm going to give me 2x squared. Then I look at my x terms. I have a minus 9x and a plus 5. So that gives me a negative 4x. And then the last one is 18 plus 6, which gives me a plus 24. Copy my denominator. So I could try to go ahead and factor that. They have a greatest common factor of 2, but there's nothing that would make that divide out to 1. And then when I find, if I try to actually factor this, I'll show you. So if I factor out the 2, I have x squared minus 2x plus 12. So if I try to factor this, I see that this is prime. So there's no way I can factor it to divide anything out to simplify. So that means that this is my final answer. However, I cannot forget my restrictions. So remember my restrictions on x. So x cannot be a value that would make my denominator 0. So that means x cannot be 6, x cannot be negative 3, and x cannot be 2, because that would make my denominator 0. I'm also going to look up in my original and make sure that there's not a factor that was originally there that I forgot, and I didn't. So I have to remember to put my restrictions on x after I have added or subtracted my rational expressions.